So I wrote the essay that I wanted to be an attorney. My teacher kicked it back to me and said, well, you might want to try something else because there aren't any, basically what she was saying is there's nobody in that field that you could identify with. So I went home, told my mom, who's all of 4'11" with her hot-headed self, and she said, no, we're not settling for this. And she took me back to the sixth grade teacher and said, my daughter can be anything she wants to be.
All right, so today we are with Judge Carolyn Thompson. And so we just have a few questions for you regarding your upbringing, your life, your career, your work, everything you've been a part of that will be of interest to the people in our community. So the first question that I would like to ask is about your upbringing. Tell me about where you're from, the area in which you grew up, and just your childhood in general.
I was born and raised in Danville, Virginia, which is about 30 minutes from here. My mother raised two kids pretty much on her own as a single mom. I left Danville to attend Hampton University with my family. They are all still in Virginia. We were raised right off of Highway 58 in Danville, Virginia. My mom worked as a nurse for years until retirement. My dad, he's still there in Danville, retired from Goodyear plant.
Okay, so I know that you are a 3-time HBCU alumnus. So tell me about your first degree going to Hampton University. What made you choose Hampton? What made you choose a historically Black university? And what did you study there?
Truthfully, in my senior year, even though I was a pretty good student and was college bound in some way, my idea was to stay home and work and help out around the house. But it wasn't until my school counselor then, called me into the office and said, hey, Jennings, where's your applications for school? And I said, well, my mom really can't afford college. I'm just going to stay and work and then go to local community college. She put me in her car at that moment and drove me home to my mother and said, did you know that your daughter wasn't planning on attending school? And she said, oh, but I already have the application. So she actually filled out my application to her alma mater, which was Hampton University. And it was the best decision that I made. I loved Home by the Sea, HU, wonderful experience being a part of a community within a community. When you attend an HBCU, you understand what I'm talking about. Our motto when I graduated from Hampton, class of 1990, we were boss. And so a group of us would ask, what do you want to be in 5 years? And then another group would say, boss. That's the inspiration that you get from attending an HBCU.
So when did you decide that you wanted to get into law?
Early on as a child, I always had an idea of wanting to be an attorney. In fact, in the 6th grade, I wrote an essay because we had to do an essay on what do you want to be when you grow up. And I wrote that I wanted to be an attorney. Now, mind you, at that time, all I saw was Perry Mason on TV, but I could see he had a fight in him. And so I wrote the essay that I wanted to be an attorney. My teacher kicked it back to me and said, well, you might want to try something else because there aren't any, basically what she was saying is there's nobody in that field that you could identify with. So I went home, told my mom, who's all of 4'11" with her hot-headed self, and she said, no, we're not settling for this. And she took me back to the 6th grade teacher and said, my daughter can be anything she wants to be. But my whole inspiration was I saw my mom struggling to take care of my brother and me. And I said I wanted to be an attorney to help kids who were struggling like my family and who were without support, financial support, to help get through the months of not worrying about whether you choose between a light bill or groceries. And so from that moment, didn't know then that I would be an advocate for children, but that was my inspiration, to be an attorney to help protect kids and their rights to support.
Was there anything going on that stands out in your memory during your college years, as you already had in your mind that you wanted to be an attorney, that really narrowed your focus and said, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go in? When
you are from a poor community and you see the absence of representation in the court system, and at that time while I was attending Hampton, I had an opportunity to intern with an all-Black firm at that point, and most of their clients were the indigent community or the those who have less access to the legal system and representation. And during that internship was an eye-opening moment for me to actually be a part of the public defender process and to see what it was like, to wonder if you're walking out of here today, what happens to my family if I have to go in because I'm serving a sentence. And so that really impacted my direction. But all throughout middle school, high school, I've had a one-track mind that I knew I needed to get to the legal system because that's where the decisions were being made.
So from Hampton, you pursued a law degree at North Carolina Central University. And NCCU is renowned for its law school. So please describe to me how, from your experience, it earned such a good reputation as being a top-notch law school. And what were some things that you learned outside of the curriculum at NCCU that have made you an attorney, a great attorney, and of course, a judge?
Central will make sure that you are a trial attorney before you get your JD. I love that from the minute you walk in the door, they emphasize to you that you are spot on from the minute you walk out of this door. For example, Professor Ringer always told us, we have to make sure when we're in the community, we are representing, because we are a walking, talking shingle. He pushed that on us all the time. Professor Ringer taught evidence at that point. And he made sure that we were able to not just argue the point, but be able to articulate the law and articulate the facts so that we had a presence in the courtroom. It wasn't just paper and pen. They made sure that you are a trial attorney, knowing your client's position, but also knowing the law before you left. And I found that to be so helpful on this side of law school and having a JD, that those things still ring true for me, that it's not okay for me to, go into the store, like a local store, looking any kind of way, because you're a walking, talking shingle. Unfortunately for our race, we always have to do the extra. That's just the way it is. It's not a thing where we can just walk in and say our degree means so-and-so. I've always found that somehow I'm challenged with my position or my argument because, unfortunately, of the color of my skin instead of the law degree that hangs just as high as anyone else's. And so attending North Carolina Central University School of Law taught me to be a trial attorney, taught me how to maintain professionalism in and out of the courtroom, because we are representing a community.